Welcome to Health Coach for Women, a podcast where we explore alternative and holistic solutions to better health and wellness through intentional living. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
Hi there. Thank you so much for joining me today on another episode of Health Coach for Women, a podcast where we explore alternative and holistic solutions for better health and wellness. And of course, I'm your host, Marsha. So I have an update for you. First things first, hit that like button, share, and subscribe. And of course, you know I always have a quote. Although things may look hard right now, trust the process and know that everything is going to be okay. That's my quote today, and that's by me. All right, so let's jump right in. First, I wanted to fill you in on an update and let you know about my test results. I told you before I had went and had some labs done, right, through my physician. And one was a little low, but they did them again and everything was fine. But I still went ahead and sent out my own lab tests through choosehealth.io, purchased a kit on Amazon, and of course the original kit, whatever, something with a barcode. Anywho, let me wrap it up on this. So the lab results, they sent me an email yesterday, and they gave me back my lab results, and everything was okay. So these will be put up on the screen for you to see as well. Everything was fine. My thyroid stimulating hormone was fine. It's at a good level. And what I like with this kit was that which each test that they test for, they provide you a little video on it. They provided you a little video. So this, I would definitely recommend it. This was really good. I'm not going to go into all of that on, what it says. And he talks about diet and stuff like that. He provides his insights, right? But that test was fine, right? Everything came back at optimal. Everything was fine. My free T3, that was fine. I have the levels up. My free T4, that was also fine, within range. And the antibody test, which was my real concern, that was fine as well. So everything is in the green. Everything is fine. All right. So everything is fine. Trust the process, right? And know that everything will be okay. So I just want to share that with you guys and to talk about what's leading me into today's topic, right? Which is basically embracing the present and how to trust your future, right? Where you will know that things will improve. All right. So what's the first thing we need to do? Right. I talked about before just recently on gratitude, right? I talked about gratitude and having that attitude of gratitude, right? And so we know that gratitude is something that we are just thankful for. We appreciate the little things, the simple things in life. And I talked about how that benefits you and how it helps with your mental growth as well as your personal growth. Okay. So it helps with not only your mental, but your personal growth. Right. And I talked about before that when I was in a period of when I was losing it all, right? The only thing that really saved me, in addition to prayer, was having the attitude of gratitude. Right. So for me, it was having that attitude, showing and expressing an attitude of gratitude, that knowing that this was a rough patch, a rough time, and I was still trusting the process and knowing that the Creator would never abandon me and leave me bearing more than I could bear. Right. So that's what worked for me. Right. And I talked about also with having gratitude and celebrating those small wins, right? So we have to celebrate the small wins that we achieve in life, right? Celebrating those small wins can help us lead to bigger future opportunities and big wins, right? And bigger wins, okay? So things you could do as far as keeping a gratitude journal, your affirmations, 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for each day, right? And this is what we can do. All right. So number 2, the art of letting go. Ooh, this. Now, gratitude is a big thing, right? But the art of letting go, right? Sometimes we are not willing to let go. And this, my friends, this can be a hindrance. right? This can hinder our success, our growth, um, because we have to learn how to let go, right? And letting go of what? The things that don't serve us, letting go of control, right? Sometimes we want to hold on and or we don't we want to think we can control outcomes. Remember, I did an episode on that before, right? Learning not to control outcomes. So we have to let go of control, right? Letting go to certain attachments, fears, egos, letting go, surrendering, right? We have to do that. And what happens is when we continue to hold on to the things that we are trying to control, and when it does not work in our favor, we can become emotionally unstable, stressed, and as well as stagnant, right? When we hold on to things. So this is why it's important for us to let go, right? It is so important for us to let go, right? And a perfect example of that is, you know, holding on to maybe a bad relationship, a toxic relationship, right? Maybe you're in a toxic relationship and you know that that person is not the one for you. You know that all they do is cause heartache and disruption and chaos in your life, yet you still hold on because you're trusting the process and of love and believing that this person is going to change. When you know deep down inside, realistically, deep down that your own inner knowing, that inner tuition guidance, you know that it is not going to change. You know that this person is toxic for you and you should not be in that relationship, right? But you want to hold on to the fantasy or the idea of being in love or having a spouse or having a partner, right? We want to hold on to those things, whether it's for the ego, image purposes, whatever it is, we are holding on when we should not be holding on. Because in order for us to grow, we have to let go of certain things. We have to remove certain things out of our lives in order for us to grow. It is the only way, right? It's the only way, right? And so what are some things that we can do, like if we are in a toxic relationship or if we are holding on to bad habits? We gotta start to really practice certain things such as prayer, right? Now, but for those of you, I don't care what religion you're in, right? It doesn't matter. Your spirituality, right? Prayer, meditation, right? Um, Implementing positive thoughts, doing things that's going to improve your mental, physical, and emotional well-being, right? We have to be able to do certain things that's going to improve our well-being, right? And that's why I love quotes, because I don't know, I always love quotes, right? I always look at, some people like having daily quotes. I love them simply because it's like, here's the thought of the day. Here's the intention for the day, right? So for me, thoughts is like, okay, this is the intention I'm carrying today, right? Where I'm optimistic, whatever that quote is or whatever, or it's that intention that I'm carrying for the day, right? So that's why that's important. So you can also discuss like and share, whether it's in your journal or with a friend or support group, how letting go, how it can offer you new and better opportunities, right? Sometimes we could be stuck at a job, right? Because we need to pay our bills, but we know that this particular job is not benefiting. There's no growth. There's no moving forward. It's very stressful. And sometimes we have to be willing to let go of that too, right? So it doesn't matter what it is. It's knowing the time of when you need to let go and move on, right? Knowing when to let go. So, number 3, how to cultivate hope and optimism. Well, I already talked about quotes, right? And journaling, right? I already talked about that. Having hope, right? And so, what is hope? Hope is having that faith and belief of the unseen, the belief of things that they are, even though it hasn't manifested yet. Believing, right? Having these hopes of, I'll just use the election as hoping that we get the best president, hoping that the person who won the election, he is the one you're hopeful that he will do right by the people. right? So whatever it is that we are hoping for is that belief, right? Belief in having faith, right? Right? You got to have faith, right? And it's a strong belief that we have. And it gives us the optimism because we hope for a better income. We hope for a positive outcome, right? Um, and this is why we have to always we have to really maintain a positive mindset. And this is so important. We have to maintain having positivity, uh, eliminating and removing negative thoughts, right? Whether you use affirmations, whether you are shifting, whenever you feel yourself, whenever you catch yourself speaking negativity, where you have to go ahead and implement that and switch that. You have to self-regulate. You have to be able to self-regulate, right? Whenever I find myself finding myself coming into a negative thought, right? I immediately switch it and turn it off into something positive, right? And so this happens, right? We're all human. This happens. So we have to self-regulate. We have to be able to self-regulate. And in life, we have setbacks. So during these times of setbacks, hey, listen, we can't control every outcome. We can do our best to prepare for certain situations and take certain steps and strategies for what we want, but in the end, we can't determine all outcomes, right? So when setback occur, take it as part of the process, right? Take it as part of the process, a learning experience, life lesson, whatever you want to call it. We take it in stride, right? And we get up and we continue to go with the flow, right? We continue to go with the flow of life, right? And so this is what we need to do. And there's so many people who's overcome a bunch of struggles, right? You have, and I'll just use the celebrities as a good example, or not even celebrities, right? Well, people that you may know have heard of who've written maybe famous books or movies. I like to use the movie Avatar. I think the person who wrote the book, I don't remember their name, but the person who wrote the book, they went to give this film distributed amongst different people, right? For years, and it was getting rejected, right? But that person didn't give up. They didn't give up. I think it was a male, can't remember, but they didn't give up, right? The movie Avatar, right? And so far they have what, about 3 parts of the movie already? There's Avatar and there's, I don't remember, right? But I think there's 3 of them, and they were all good movies. I watched them. They were all pretty good, both or 3 of them, whatever. But they're good, right? And then sometimes it's just a matter of timing or the right person. It has whatever your thought, your dream, your wish, whatever it is, it has to be presented to the right individual, right? Where someone finally said yes. It's just like a door salesman, right? You can knock on 100 doors, right? And each person, all these people will tell you no, 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 100 times, right? But it could be that 101 person where you're just about to finally ready to give up that will finally tell you yes, right? So you have to stay positive and optimistic no matter what. Eric Thomas said, he's a motivational speaker. I used to listen to him all the time, right? He said, when you want success as much as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Something like that, okay? Something like that. But the thing here is to remember to always be optimistic, always keeping an upbeat, positive frame of mind. All right. So now I want to move on to number 4, right? Understanding the role of faith in uncertainty. Now, I talked about faith, right? I talked about that, right? Whether you're spiritual, religious, whatever it is, right? What is faith, right? Let me give you the definition of faith, right? The dictionary definition of what faith really is. So faith is basically believing in something, right? Without evidence, right? Believing in something where your conviction is strong, right? You have faith and your belief is so strong with conviction, even if there's no proof, right? And so we can use God, the higher power, as an example, the creator, right? We can say, if you believe in God, right? You believe in the higher power, the Most High, Allah, Yahweh, whatever we call our Creator. We can say that we believe, right? And someone else who's opposing may say, well, how do you believe? Well, where's the proof? Where is your proof? Where's your scientific evidence? Where, how do you believe in something that is unseen, right? And so it's the strong conviction and belief of that person and what they believe that they hold true and they feel it and believe it in their heart to be true, right? And the conviction is so strong, right? The conviction is so strong. And then for them, nothing could dispute it or refute it. Okay. Nothing can dispute it or refute it. All right. And so understanding faith, right? And regardless of the uncertainty that life provides, a person can still hold on to faith and belief, right? Uh, Even though when they don't know the outcome, even though it may be uncertain, but their conviction is so strong and powerful that they will continue to have and hold that belief. All right. And so, what are some things that we do? How can we strengthen our faith? Right? We can strengthen our faith by continuing to uh, using prayer, meditation, whatever, right? How do we strengthen our faith, our beliefs, right? Of course, surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, of course. And this is why it's important to listen. Let me say this. People can be from different backgrounds, religious backgrounds, different cultures, right? And race and ethnicities, right? But there's a commonality between all people, right? Between most, right? Who believe in the higher power, or whatever. Or even if we're not talking about the higher power, God, whatever, there's a commonality where, for the most part, we all would like to be happy. We all want to be happy. And we all express love, maybe not the same, but we express some type of love or comfort or care or concern for another human being, right? And so when we do this, right, this is the commonality that we share, right? And this is what I love about people, right? Where we can be open and come together and understand and share our different ideas and beliefs. We don't have to always agree, right? We can agree to disagree, right? But being able to share those differences and be able to discuss it and amongst one another, civil. Now we know that does not always happen. We know that there's been struggle and fight and conflict since the beginning of time, right? Maybe even before the daggone Bible was created, right? And so there's conflict, but straying away from that. With conflict, just like there is good, there is evil, right? Just as there is conflict, there is resolution. And what is that called, right? That duality, right? And so we still find a way where we can come somewhere and meet in the middle and share a common interest, a common goal, right? And despite our differences, right? Despite our differences. And this is what helps us to grow, right? This is what helps us to grow and to evolve as a person, all right?
If you are struggling with health issues like chronic pain, being held back by past traumas, or feeling overwhelmed and hopeless, please know there is hope. There is help. Transcendence, a woman's guide to healing and self-love for better health, happiness, and abundance, is a blueprint to help you get your life back and reclaim your health. Within its pages, you'll learn how to elevate your existence by shifting your mindset toward the positive, focusing your energy on what's really important, using gratitude to feel deep appreciation, changing your gene expression through epigenetics, building resilience, and living in a state of flow, feeling love overflow within. Go beyond an ordinary life. Transcend. Buy it now.
And so now I want to move on to number 5. So what happens when we resist change? Number 5 is why resisting change delays your growth, right? What happens when we resist change, right? You will continue hitting a wall, right? You ever heard of the saying, person doing the same thing, expecting different results, you can't. You're not going to get different results. If you keep doing the same thing, it's just not going to happen. That's what they say. That's what they call insanity, right? So insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. It's not going to happen, right? And so when we operate, we need to operate not in a state of fear, but we have to operate in a state of knowing, of faith, belief, knowing, right? Because we get so complacent when we're in these comfort zones, and sometimes people are afraid to step out of their comfort zones. Sometimes people are still stuck in the same stagnant habits that keep us stagnant. All right. So we have to be able to resist change. We have to be able to not resist change, to embrace change. I'm sorry. We have to be able to embrace change. All right. And so what are some things that we could do to embrace change? Right. I told you the acronym, going with the flow, learning to go with the flow of life, right? Adapting to the seasons, just as we have seasons and the trees and everything around starts to change. That's why in the summer, animals mate and give birth more in the warmer months than in the winter months, because everything is based on a season, right? Everything has a season. Everything has a harmonious play to it. Everything has a divine practice, a divine law that is implemented that we are meant to follow. Right? We have to embrace change. We cannot resist change, because change is inevitable. Change is meant for us to grow and evolve as people, as human beings, as an individual, as a unit, as a collective, period, all together. Right? And what happens when we resist change? When we resist change, we enter being stagnant. We enter depression. We enter all these, we can come into all of these things where we are just stuck. We're not really living our true potential, if that makes sense. We're not living our true potential because we're so stuck, right? So listen, when you can embrace change, you embrace new opportunities, you can embrace new network of people, new friends, new growth, new awareness, new levels of awareness, right? That you may not have known or may not have known that existed, right? So you got to have these, be able to have these mindset shifts, right? You have to be able to embrace change, right? Embrace change and go with the flow, right? Which is my acronym for feeling love overflow within, right? Feeling that love overflow within. We need to start practicing that, practicing the being in a state of flow. Okay. All right. So number 6, the science behind the present moment awareness, right? Now, that leads me into mindfulness. You know that there's scientific studies that shows that mindfulness helps to reduce stress and increase focus, right? Reducing cortisol levels, right? Improvement may help improve with mood, test anxiety, things like that. This has already been scientifically proven, right? And the neurological benefits that it provides by improving mental clarity and focus, right? The breathing exercises, right? Doing your breath work. All right. So all of these things are important, and learning how to live in the present, learning how to live in the present not only enhances your productivity, but your emotional well-being as well. Your emotional well-being as well. Of course, I'm always telling you about being mindful, getting out in nature, right? Especially when you're feeling those moments of blah, or you may be going through seasonal depression. You may be just going through a bad time, and taking those walks out in nature and just observing and paying attention to the simple things that we may not normally pay attention to. And that's showing appreciation, and it's an expression of gratitude. All right. And so signs that your future is already shaping itself, right? Signs of that your future is already shaping itself. Well, you know that I've mentioned to you before that sometimes you can have synchronicities, gut feelings that intuition, right? Sometimes we already have that. We can feel that. All right. Um, and your past struggles and adversities does not have to be your future, but it is all in the way that you view yourself. It is all in the perspective, right? It is all in the perspective. All right. And so you have to be able to learn how to make shifts, right? Sometimes there's going to be unexpected detours in life. That's just life, right? That's just life. Um, and sometimes those turns that may seem like a turn for the negative is really a turn for the better, right? Or whether we want to see that or not. Sometimes it is a turn for the better. All right. And so you have to trust your intuition. You know what? You trust your inner self, right? That inner new intuition that you get. Like maybe you say, well, I should make this right turn, but yet you go left and then you're stuck in more traffic than you would if you just followed your intuition to go right. Right. So trust the intuition, trust the process. All right. Number 8, overcoming anxiety about your future. Right. Future, that's a lot of people have anxiety because they're worrying about the future. Right. They're focused on the uncertainty. So they feel the pressure. Right. But you got to stay grounded by practicing things of self-care, right? Self-care includes self-love, taking care of yourself and doing all of the things that I mentioned, right? And so being able to listen, you can have plans and create goals, right? They may or may not always go the way that you want them to. It's just a curveball, right? And these things that occur in life is only meant to strengthen you. So whatever life lesson it is that you are meant to learn, that you are supposed to learn and go through, you are going to go through them, right? So we have to learn how to be able to deal with those things, right? Such as anxiety, worrying about the future. Stop worrying about the future. But because if you focus more on the present moment, you'll have less anxiety. Focus more, learning how to be present. This is the whole name of the game here. Learning how to be present, all right, is basically the name of the game for this entire episode. That's why it's called Embracing the Present and how to trust your future and how to trust that your future will improve, right? So learning how to be present, all right? Living in the now, living in the now and appreciating all of the things of the now of where you are now, whether they're good or bad. Appreciating the time in the present now because your circumstances is not your end all, your destination. It is just in the present moment, right? And you have the ability to shift that into something more meaningful and positive. All right. And number 9, how personal growth happens in the present, right? So by taking small actionable steps, right, it can contribute to long-term growth, right? All the things that I previously mentioned, such as journaling, affirmations, right? All of these things that I told of meditation, breathing, exercise, whatever, right? Because we're dealing with the whole self, right? We're not dealing with one aspect, although there could be one aspect that we need to work on. Or more importantly, that is priority over other things. But we need to be able to learn how to be more present, right? So we have to learn how to be more present. And what about working on some habits? Small habits leads to big change, right? Small habits leads to big changes. What would you like to give up? What would you like to improve? Right? What would you like better in your life? Are you working towards health? What are you working on? What are you working towards? Right? But remember to be in that state of flow, right? Being in a state of flow helps you to stay present, right? Helps you to stay present and get through life, right? And to adapt to the different changes and the currents and the flow of life. Okay. So don't be afraid of when trouble arises, right? Because it's all a part of life, right? Don't be afraid to embrace discomfort, right? So embracing discomfort is a sign of growth, right? You don't want to always remain comfortable, right? You don't want to always stay in your comfort zone. It is getting out of your comfort zone that's going to give you the strength and the courage to grow and expand, right? And so we have to be willing to do that. I always talk about this. Listen, when I first started doing videos, do you know how many times I would re-record over and over? And I was just to record something. I would just re-record about 100 times. One time it took me hours just to record something simple. So listen, even doing lives now, when I do them, I may get a little nervous, right? But I do it anyway. So even if you're doing something that scares you a little bit, do it anyway, right? And so this is even till now. All right. Now, number 10, lessons from nature. Trusting the seasons of life. I just talked about that not too long ago, right? Trusting the seasons of life, right? So even the animals have to adjust and adapt to changes in the season, right? And this is why they migrate, not because they want to, because their survival depends on it. Their survival depends on it, right? So they have to migrate when there's no more food for them to graze the animal and they can't find food. They have to travel, they have to migrate to find food to eat. And when there's periods of drought and no water, right? They sacrifice. Some die on the way, right? Some die on the way due to exhaustion or whatever, or illness, or even they fate from predators, right? So even they go through life struggles, not like ours, in a different kind of way, but they experience hardship nevertheless, right? And so I love using the examples of the animals. I love those shows, but it's just like when the herd of buffalo and everything, then they're traveling, right? They're migrating. They have to cross the river and the Nile. They have to cross it to get to where they want to go. And they need water, right? So they come into the riverbed, they have to drink, but they know it's danger lurking beneath the water. They know it's dangerous. But in order for them to survive and to keep moving, to live, they have to do what they have to do. And some will perish, right? And so when some of them had their drink of water and now it's time to cross, right? And some of them don't even make it because the crocodiles and everything and ready to grab them and take them under, right? So here they are at the riverbed. Now it's time to cross. Somebody has to go first. Who will go first, right? Who will go first? And then somebody eventually goes first, and then all others will trample and follow, and lead the way. And in the process, a couple is not going to make it across. We already know that, right? A few of them will not make it across because of the dangers in the water with the crocodiles. But they have to do it. They have to, right? Their whole life depends on it, literally, right? And so sometimes in life, we have to go through certain things, whether we want to or not, because our survival depends on it. Our livelihood depends on it. We have to do what we have to do. So take lessons from nature and trust in the seasons of life, and know that the seasons is only temporary, right? The season is only a season. That's why it's called a season. Okay. All right. So that is all I have for you for now. Learn how to just embrace the present moment, right? Learn how to just embrace the present moment and be okay. Know that everything is okay. Know that everything is working in your favor. Trust the process. Believe, right? Have faith. Continue to stay intentional, right? And eliminate negative thoughts, right? And do what you were meant to do. Live how you were meant to live. Whatever it is that you were meant to do it. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid, but trust the process and learn how to be present. Be present. Live in the now. live in the now. And that's all I have to say for you for now. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Health Coach for Women with Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this episode, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.